So mimi na mastori zangu za Kawangware. Ungwaru mseta najua Ungwaru. The most famous place wewe nikikwambia Kawangware, wewe unajua wapi?
Kongo.
Bas, wachi hapo. Sasa Kongo. Sasa Kongo.
Akiwatu wa Kongo watanichukia.
Kongo inajulikana na watu wa New York. Mtako New York anajua Kongo. Kongo kuna base fulani hapo. Kongo, what is Congo known for? Illicit brew, achia hapo.
Natoka.
Hiyo ni base ya Busaa na ile nyingine. So, kuna kachuo hapa penye nawak na church. Kuna chuo unaweza pitia utoke mahali kwa baro. So once in a while unganapitia hapo. Na every once in a while it is a given that you will meet a drunk person.
Yeah.
Doing something weird. So but na mimi day moja tu jioni nimechomoka ninaenda. Giza imeingia. So nikapata mlevi mmoja yeye zimemuonyesha yeye ni pastor. Yeye ni preacher. Amelewa lakini anahubiri. Na anahubiri vitu haziko. Yaani I don't even remember what he was saying. Wewe andiko inasema sijui nini na amelewa serious sana. No one is paying attention to him because again ni kitu ya kawaida. Sasa makosa iliingilia mahali nini si azina ameingia sasa yeye ni pasi kabisa. Jamaa fulani hapo akapita na crutches. So akawa anatembea vizuri. Upasi akamuona ujamaa si atembei pwani Kiwete. Na si mimi ni pastor. Manze mlevi akaambia ujamaa ninakuamuru kwa jina la Yesu utembee. Ninaenda mtaani nimecheka all the way bana. Ninakuamuru utembee. Interesting story manze. Take it away, Director Mo's casting.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to I Am Rebel podcast. I keep telling you people I need better friends. Wesa nisaidie kwa hii maisha hata kidogo. I thought the story had a good ending. Anyway, every time he gets me, watu wa Ungwaru Kongo, I didn't know. It was just random thoughts. Msinichukia.
Nasema the first things.
Wesa, take it away to
Joyce A. Manze, leo nataka tupige story. By the way, kabla ninge kwa story. You saw the thing about the what is it called? The solar eclipse that happened juzi. April 8th. So it happened in US. So it was seen from US. And it has caused a very huge buzz. So the word is that it has fulfilled end time prophecies. So mbona hii solar eclipse ni special. In Matthew I think chapter 16. 16 I think maybe 12. Jesus talks about kuna time Jesus alikutana na Pharisees. Kamba if you're really from heaven tunataka kuona a sign from heaven. Show us a sign. And Jesus is like this horrible generation. You wicked generation, you will not see any sign. No sign will be given to you except the sign of Jonah. Before that alikuwa amesema yani you wicked generation mnajuanga when you wake up in the morning and the sky is red you say that either kutanyesha ama kutoka then we are able to read the times. And then he's like how come you can't read the times? And then he says no sign will be given to you except the sign of Jonah. Now of course in context what is thought generally is tunaongelelea that he was talking about his death, just the way Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days, so the Son of Man will be in the belly of the earth. And hiyo mambo kwa sawa. But now this eclipse, it was, so unajua in a following a path. because the sun is moving and the moon is moving.
Yes.
So they follow a path. So kuna place iko partial, kidogo halfway, kidogo sasa total eclipse, alafu like that.
Yes.
Now the path ilikuwa inatumia ikisonga, I kid you not, ukweli, ilipitia through one city called Jonah and 11 cities called Nineveh.
Oh.
One city called Jonah and 11 called Nineveh. And by the way, okay, sisemi ati yo any, but it's something worth thinking about. Alafu, the path that these eclipses have formed, because kulikuwa another one 7 years ago, they have, if you draw like US and you draw the path zenye zimekuwa zikifuata, it draws two like symbols. Moja inaka almost like a number, something between a number 4 and a letter A. Ingine inaka more like an X. And what they show, these ninis, they are Hebrew letters of the alphabet. Ya kwanza ni Aleph, na the other one is Taf. Now Aleph, wacha najua ni wapeleka shule ya Hebrew. But Aleph in Hebrew is the first letter of the alphabet. Taf is the last. And also, the Aleph represents beginning and Taf represents end. So in other words, wasa wana interpret zile za Aleph and Taf, beginning and the end, and the distance between them is 7 years. 7 is the number of completion. Waku. These are the signs of Jonah that Jesus was talking about. Now, I am not saying they are the signs of Jonah. I am not saying they are not. I am saying it is worth thinking about. Na nataka tupige story ingine interesting juu it is not just that sign. Kuna signs mob sana zenye zimekuwa zikihappen. Oh, by the way, ulicheki story ya Didi. It's a Christian podcast, maybe it's still a Christian podcast. But you know Didi, right?
Yes.
You've seen his story when he's on the move, he's on the run.
What happened?
Manze. How do you story ya Didi?
No.
Umekoka mai. Okay, you're making me feel horrible. Unafanya ni feel ni kama bana.
What are you watching? What's on your feed?
Who are you? What is happening? But so a while ago, Cat Williams unamjua.
Cat Williams.
He came out with an interview on a certain podcast and he was exposing all the weird things that happen in Hollywood. And he was talking about sasa homosexuality nini. And so Didi was Apple. And the nini that was coming out is that everyone has known this whole time, is just that they didn't have evidence. But anyway, juzi, his home was attacked and his sons were arrested. Alikuwa tipped off, I guess, akadisappear. And word is amepotea. Now he's probably in a country that does not have extradition laws. So probably a Cape Verde or something like that. But sasa Didi alikuwa monekana na ties na kina Bishop Jakes, kina nani, na all these weird ninis too. And wasa walikuwa wananiuliza, what's your take on hata these guys being linked to sijui what, homosexuality, sijui nini, blah blah. And I'm like, bro, whether or not it's true, the Bible talks about these things. Bible inashina kituambia in the last days kutaka hivi. In the last days kutaka hivi. In that final day, na hizi ziko. Na leo I just want us to tell a story. I want to tell us a story of the things that, the proof of that the Bible is true. Because the Bible has fulfilled so many prophecies. And some prophecies are being fulfilled in our generation. As in things are unfolding before our eyes. And so, sit down, chill. Story ndio hii. The year is I think 1490 BC. Somewhere hapo. Kuna king anaitwa Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar. Wasa veve wanaitwanga pia Nebukadnezar. Hiyo jina manze tuko Nebukadnezar bro. Wanasemanga wajuu king Nebukadnezar alikula nyasi. But hiyo ni story tutapiga day ingine. At this point, he is the greatest king in the world. The superpower in the world is Babylon. Marasa wapendi hiyo jina. Me have to ban Babylon, man. Can't have Babylon in a yard, you understand? But nini alikuwa Babylon, and the reason Rastas hate Babylon is because Babylon took away the children of God, waliwapeleka nini exile. So wao wamekuwa tu atiaje, yani Babylon ni watu tu letanga oppression. You know, Rastaman was born to be free, understand? But anyway, so he period, this is the king of the world, if you can put it that way, the greatest empire, and he has taken some Israelis out on exile. Among them kuna kijana anaitwa Daniel, akona mabeshte zake watatu wanaitwa Ananiah, Mishael and Azariah, who would come sasa to be known as, who are given the names Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego. Haya. Wako inje. They are not in their home, and wako before, this is in Daniel chapter 2. Before that, they had done something very wise, and they had been classified among the wise men. So walikuwa wise men. So King Nebuchadnezzar de moja ameamka tu, manzee amekasirika, amekula moto, is moody, yani wewe nileteni all the wise men hapa mbele yangu. Wise men wamekuja na astrologers na interpreters. I have had a dream na imeni trouble, and I want you to tell me what it means. Astrologers wakasema haya, sawa sawa, oh great king, may you live forever. Hizo ndio watu walikuwa nani? Imagine kugoteana hivyo saa hii. Hi Clive, may you live forever. Bro. So
oppression was real.
Man, oppression was real. So they tell him, tell us what you have dreamt and we'll tell you what it means. My lord, I wonder. Wise men wanajiuliza how. King wakamwambia tena, my king, nikao hujasikia vizuri, just tell us the dream and we'll tell you what it means. And the king says, I know you are just wasting time, you're buying time, because you know I have decided firmly in my heart that I want you to tell me what the dream was and what it means. Hey, bro. Wasa wanamwambia, in this whole world, in history of all the kings, no king has ever asked something like this. King amesema ni aje, kwanza saa hizo have decided that mkishindwa, I will have you cut into pieces and I will have your houses turned into rubble. Very specific words. Unajua msaki kutishia, hili kutishia tu akwambia nitakupiga manda kumada. But msaki kuambia in details, it's mostly. Hivyo ndio hata wazazi wetu walikuwa natu. Unakulwa, ukimisbehave kwa wenyewe, hiyo barabara mnarudi mtaa, unatishiwa maisha psychologically, yani ile kitu inaenda kukufanya wewe, unatishiwa yani, and it's just horrible. And so at the end anasema nyie hata mnaniwestia time. He calls one of his chief guards, alikuwa anaitwa Ariok. Oye Ariok, nitulieni hao mafala hapa, go and execute them. Na usiwe execute peke yao, execute all the wise men in Babylon. All the wise men in Babylon. Kuna nani hapo ndani? Kuna Daniel kijana wetu mtanashati, na kuna marafiki zake, Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego. Sasa sio pia wanashiko. Manze unajua hiyo, yani nikaa tu same si atokea hapa. Buda rada nini? Mnaenda kuuliwa. Ngoja tumedu. So anauliza Ariok, what's up? Ariok akam explain the matter. I'm just following orders. Daniel kusikia story, akaenda kwa king. Akaambia king, niaje nipatie time tu kiasi, usitumade. I will tell you what your dream means. Alafu akarudi kwa mabeshte zake, akawaambia, I am begging you to plead with the God of heaven atufafanulie what this dream means. And the truth is they pray. And God answers, because in the middle of the night, God reveals what the dream is and what it means to Daniel in a vision. The power of prayer, my people. The power of prayer. We pray, God hears, man. God usikia. And so in the morning, he goes and tells Ariok, niaje, I now know what the nini. Ariok hata afikiri twice, anaenda kwa king. Anamwambia, I found a man who can tell you what your dream was and what it means. Leta yeye. Kuja hapo Daniel before the king, kama kawaida, salamu ni, may you live forever. And the king asked him, can you tell me what my dream means? And anasema, actually the Daniel, his response is very interesting. He tells him, no man in the world can tell you what you dreamt and what it means. But there is a God in heaven who reveals secrets to men, and he has revealed to me what your dream means. And so, in your dream, great king, may you live forever, you are standing, and lo, behold, mbele yako, there appeared a statue. Na hii statue ilikuwa very weird because its head was made of gold. Its chest and shoulders were made of silver. Its stomach and thighs were made of bronze. Its legs were made of iron, and its feet were made of partly clay and partly iron. And while you were still observing it, because you hadn't understood, there came a rock from outside of this world. It came and it struck that statue kwa feet. Na venye ilichapwa kwa miguu, hiyo statue ika turn to dust. Na ika turn to dust yote ika evaporate. Now, venye ili evaporate, ikakuwa dust. But as for the stone itself, the rock itself that came from elsewhere, not of this world, it grew and it became a large mountain and it filled the whole earth. Hey, king akiwa ameshtuka, because that is true, akamwambia, now this is what your dream means. That head of gold is you. Babylon. Babylon was very rich. Now alikuwa anatambua gold. Big time. Na alikuwa anamwambia, in this world, wewe ndio utakuwa superpower. Yani we sahi, God amekuweka in a position where all the birds, you are king of everything. The beasts and nini. Lakini, after you, there will come another kingdom that is a little inferior to yours. Okay. And after that, there will come another one inferior to that of gold, and another one inferior to that. Yani ni kingdoms he's talking about. And so ndio the Bible is true. By the time he's making this prophecy, sini Babylon the superpower. Manze kukakaka kidogo, after a while, another kingdom came and took over. And the kingdom that took over was Persia and Medes, Medo-Persia. They were a kingdom of silver. Of course walikuwa na gold, but hawa walikuwa silver. Ma-Persians walikuwa, if you have watched any movie hizo enzi, you've watched 300,
Yes.
Unakumbuka King Xerxes or Persia, who offers people silver.
Silver.
Persia was also very rich, but not as rich as Babylon. And Persia conquered the world. 300 in a tell you story, by the way. I say he was just that. Those guys were just out to conquer everyone and everything. And they had an army that was so vast. And walikuwa wakikonka wase, sometimes they would strike deals with them and have their army fight for him.
Yes.
So I will not invade your land. I will not
But
take it. It is
recruit.
mine. It is mine, but sitawasumbuanileni na shughuli yenyu. But whenever I call, your army will come.
Comes to fight for that.
Persia ndio hao. Wakarule. And then, after a while, there comes a small country somewhere. Now, this name of this country is Greece. Now, the Greeks were colonized by the Persians. The Greeks, we have a story of an interesting fellow, anaitwa Alexander. Alexander the Great. I love this story because it's almost fiction. You can read it in books, but kuna documentary flani, it is mostly accurate. Iko Netflix. Yeah, Alexander. This guy, he's a kid. And he's born, he's the son of the king. But king akona two issues. Anasema, mother infidelity, nini. Na mother pia, she's weird because she's always hanging around with snakes. She's just weird. And the mom tells Alexander that this is not your father. Your father is the Greek god. none but Zeus. Uliona Zeus wa nini mwenye alikuwa kwa Thor Love and Thunder?
Yes.
No, Zeus ni mjinga. That's crazy. And Zeus, if you read Greek mythology, because again, I just read everything. Zeus had many demigods kids.
Yes,
Yani he would come and he would sleep with his creation.
Yes.
Alafu, because kuna Perseus, kuna Hercules, kuna sasa huyo Alexander, hata kuna game ya Kratos.
Yes.
He's known for that. And so anaambiwa he's a child of Zeus. And Alexander, one day in a party, his dad dies mysteriously. And he becomes king. At a very young age. Between his late teens and early 20s. Very young guy. And he becomes king. And the first thing you did as king was very important. That's why by the kings walikuwa, msaki kwa tu king, kuna watu watauliwa.
Wow.
Kuna kitu tu ita happen. And so the first thing he says is that my dad has been killed by the Persians. So what he's saying, he's like calling out, declaring war on Persia. Bro, at this point, it is impossible. Because, I say, they have been colonized, conquered, literally. They are under Persia. And they are a piece of land compared to Persia's empire. They have a very tiny land. Kidogo sana. Nika, nani akona shamba ndogo? Land, ka place dogo au huku ni wapi? Bas, I have the perfect example. Kuna time His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni alisema that if America does not stay out of our business, we will attack America.
Wow.
Nalikuwa very serious. Alisema we are going to attack America. So it's something almost like that, yeah? And so Jamaa Alexander leads his army. And for some reason, your time Persia walikuwa anakuwa ruled by Darius, a king called Darius. And Darius pia his nini is weird because he did not inherit the kingship by being a son. He got married to the daughter of the king. And then so when that king died, he became king because that was queen. And so hiyo nini weird. But anyway, he ni story refu but acha nisingie kwa details. But Alexander actually in several battles, Alexander ends up defeating Darius and his armies na other ninis wale walikuwa wamekonka, he would call. Alexander defeats them. And Alexander actually defeats him in a war, and he comes down to Africa and he takes over Egypt, which was pledged to him. And anaichukua and he names a whole city after him. There's a city of Alexandria. It is named after Alexander. Na anaishia narudi kwa war. And one of the things he does to this Darius is he takes his wife and daughter. And kuna myths zingine na stories zingine zinasema he even had a child with this guy's wife. Aibu ilioje. But long story short, he ends up defeating Darius. And the way he does it, he does not kill Darius himself. Darius is yani ilifika place sasa Darius sasa is on the run. Alexander is breathing hot on him, yani ameingia Persia, amesukuma huko ndani. Alexander is moving, taking territory until finally one of his subjects kills him because that alikuwa ameanza kuchizi nini. And Alexander actually, when he finds them, he finds that guy and he kills him. The guy who killed Darius, and is like, we cannot have backstabbers, and this was your king, you should have honored him. And surprisingly, he gives this guy he gives the king who was killed a very befitting funeral, burial. Yani alizikuwa vifiti, top of the top tier stuff. So this is the kingdom, and now Greece, the Greeks become the superpower of the world. And after Nawalika, but the weird thing is Alexander died. He just became sick and he died. And his friends buried him. But now the funny story is, this guy had declared himself a god.
Because of the dominance
bro.
he had.
Na
Okay,
mimi ni mtoi wa Zeus bro.
Oh,
Na hizi vitu
kiburi.
hizi vitu ninadu mtu wa kawaida naweza do. And unajua ukishtukia tu umejiita tu god. Naona kama Kanye si alikuwa anajiita Jesus. Sahi anyway wacha tusingilie ma story mingi. But this Alexander, when he dies, now scholars, after studying the condition he had, wanasema he was probably alive, probably buried alive, and probably he had a condition that just caused paralysis. So he was probably very aware of everything that was happening as he was being buried. Your torture. But anyway, so the Greeks wakaendelea, now they rule the world. Alexander has conquered everything. And they become philosophers. Great study as yani, you know. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. Yani, asa walikuwa wasomi. And now they come up with these ideas of democracy. Unajua, they ask themselves questions and they discuss philosophy. They were very smart. Until, from among them, there rises a weird kingdom, an empire, the Roman Empire. Now, kumbuka Babylon ilikuwa gold, Persia ilikuwa silver. A thing that really marked Alexander's the Greeks is that their weapons were made of bronze. The Bible is very accurate in this prophecy. Bronze. When Rome waliingia hivi, one of the things that really boosted them is that they discovered iron. And iron made them, you know, when you're fighting with a guy whose sword is made of bronze and yours is made of iron, you destroy them. And Rome was so brutal, and I think they're the longest reigning empire because they only reigned for a millennia, more than a millennia actually. So Rome ndio walinini. And the interesting thing is, Jesus Christ is born ile time hiyo place alikuwa Judea, which is modern day maybe Palestine. Walikuwa under Roman rule. Rome conquered Rome walikuwa wanaingia, mkikataa collaborate Buddha, we kill you, we destroy, and we make you subjects. These guys believed they were better than everyone else. Brutal guys. Now it is super interesting that they would give the countries we know now, like Britain, Spain, Germany. Those are all names that Rome gave those pieces of land. Because Britain walikuwa inaitwa Britannia, Spain walikuwa inaitwa Hispania, Germany walikuwa inaitwa Germania, you know. And then we had sasa kina Gaul, Thrace, those are other European countries. And when Rome walingia, they killed and they conquered everyone except Germany. Now you know your history.
Yes.
Let me say. They conquered everyone except Germany. There was a guy called Arminius so one of the things Rome walikuwa wanadu, when they conquer a place and they colonize it, they would take the sons of royalty and take them away and live with them in Rome. And send them on Roman. They would make them Romans kabisa, so that by the time
teach them their ways,
their
customs.
So when they're coming back to their place, the idea is they come back to rule, but as puppets for the emperor. So by the time they're coming back to rule, they're sort of accepted by their people because they're on the way to, but in the actual sense, they have been drilled and they are Romans. Get. But this backfired on them. Juan Arminius, he came back and he saw the suffering of his people. And now he knew how the Romans fight. He knew everything about them. So he led very interesting story. There is also a series on that one. In it were Barbarians. It's also on Netflix. It has 2 seasons now. Very interesting. And Barbarians is it's actually very accurate. So our nini. And so the funny thing is the Romans used to speak Latin. This Latin gave birth to the language we have now. If you can speak French, Italian, Spanish, English, they have very similar names because their mother language is Latin. German
it's only the ending that's a bit different.
The ending that's a bit different. But you can understand. If someone talks nitapigia story ya French day ingine. But if someone talks French, you can understand. And so Jesus was born here and Jesus was crucified. And Jesus actually went to heaven when Rome was still ruling, which is one reason hata Jews wasaya wajai kubali. Some of them have never understood that Jesus actually was the Messiah. because au Messiah walikuwa wanajua atakamkufanya nini to abolish the Roman rule, and now ndo atakuwa kings of the world, you know. But Jesus the Romans walika until they came crumbling, na they crumbled juu ujinga yao. They started having foolish emperors and what not. Now Rome ni legs na ni iron. After iron, the statue, the feet zilikuwa partially made of clay and partially of iron. Meaning kutakuwa na traces of Rome, but kutakuwa na also hakutakuwa na one specific superpower after the iron one. And now the truth is that sai, if you look at the world is full of traces of Rome. The languages we speak, the way unajua Rome ndio walikuwa so civilized that they started shaving their beards. They had very transport systems, they had buildings, cities, nini, yo stuff. So now we have this kingdom, and partly of clay, partly of iron, also means that there is no one superpower. Saini kikuuliza who owns the world, you can't say it's the US, you can't say it's China, you can't say it's Russia. They're all the superpowers. You can't say it's Israel. Israel pia ni wabaya. Israel have a serious military. And so after that, which is where sisi we are living currently, the vision says there came a rock from outside the world, a force from not of this world, and it struck the statue wapi? On the feet. Hapa penye tuko. And the statue
Wow.
Ndanya khana yani
your ancestors are called. They want to come out.
The statue turned to dust. Unajua? The statue turned to dust yote, and it was swept away by a wind. But the rock itself, it grew and it became a great mountain that covered the whole earth. This rock that is not of human hands, that is not of this world, is Christ. Okay, Christ is the rock of our salvation. This rock will come and strike us where we are, and Jesus will establish his rule and his kingdom that will last forever. Na wacha ni washo, tulikuwa tunasema tunaambiwa Jesus is coming soon. People, he is coming now. All these prophecies have been fulfilled. Hii yetu ndio imebaki. Last episode tulikuwa tunapiga story ya crucifixion. And when Jesus rose from the dead, when Kina Mary went to his tomb, they found his headcloth folded
and placed on the
Bro, hii story ilikuwa inanisumbuanga cause you know mimi ule msee nasomanga Bible ninajiuliza why would they include that detail that the cloth was folded. In ancient Jewish customs, when the master was at the table, alikuwa anakula and the servant would attend to him. Now, if the master needed to leave the table for a reason, for example, anataka kwenda toilet ama they need to go and attend to something else, they would fold the cloth and they would put it kando and they would go and come back. When the servant anaona cloth imefoldiwa, anajua the master hajamaliza shughuli, anarudi. Akiacha hivyo matangadhonio anajua amemaliza. Exactly. But when it's folded, Jesus folding that symbol, and by the way, it is like that hadi leo. There is a way after umekula kaste na moz, niliwapeleka pale 5-star hotel wakanaibisha vibaya. Ukiwa na fork na knife, after you finish eating, there is a way when you leave them, it communicates something. It communicates I'm not done. It communicates
next
more please,
meal,
next meal.
Yes.
It communicates I'm dissatisfied with the service. Different ways. Hao na kula tu na maliza unaenda.
Tupa vitu hapo.
Nini hiyo cloth una wrap hiyo nini hii mambo tu weird. but it is the same. And the way that cloth being folded means that Jesus dead, living, but he is not done. He is not done with his work.
So he will return.
So you as the servants, wait and watch. He is coming back, people. Jesus is coming back. Jesus is coming back, and he's coming back very soon. And me myself, I can't wait. I can't wait for him to establish his kingdom. And all the signs are there. Oh, eclipse. Oh, G pastors doing what? Oh, he says, all the signs are there. In the last days, Paul says, people will be lovers of themselves and not lovers of God, dishonoring their parents, disobedient to their parents, having a form of godliness but denying its power. It's all in the scripture, and those are the things we are seeing now. It is the last days. Na mi Clive, mi nakuambia, I don't think the world has even another 10 years. Iko kwa Bible, hiyo ni mimi tunafikiria. Tuko 2024. Then tutafika 2034 kabla Yesu arudi. Tunaweza fika. But the way the signs are, like everything that is happening, that is why people need to read their Bibles, man. That is why we need to read our Bibles. Because if you know the word, nothing will catch you by surprise. It is all prophesied. It is all written. Yote iko. Yote, it's in the word. And our nini is to watch and pray and be on high alert, because the day of the Lord will come like a thief. No one will be expecting. No warning. And so nilikuwa nataka nipige hiyo story because I feel it's relevant, it's timely, and yeah. And nimeongea sana bana. Clive, thoughts?
My thoughts, I always feel we are more closer to Jesus returning today than we were yesterday.
Facts.
And that's why you'll realize we grew up almost the same time. Things that back then were surprising and nowadays hata hazitushtu. Like it's obvious. Ni kama hata ukisikia somebody has done this, it's no longer surprising.
It's no longer surprising.
And even when you read the Bible, it talks about there is nothing new under the sun.
Yep.
We sometimes feel, oh, this is something new, but you read the Bible, you realize, that only happened before Christ came. Like it's something that they dealt with it in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
So I feel it's good, as you've said, for us to be more of watchdogs, be aware of what's happening. And there's never been a time that we need to take salvation seriously like today.
Exactly.
Because I feel before Jesus came, for them it was about we are waiting for the Messiah. I feel there wasn't much urgency as it is right
today,
now.
Yeah.
Because for them it was about them being redeemed from this oppression they are going through. But right now, if you don't make the cut, utakuwa kubaya.
It is what it is. And there are, wacha tusingilie hizo theories zingine. But I have a very interesting theory on who the Antichrist will be and what the mark of the beast will be. Very interesting, with scripture to back it up. But hiyo tutapiga kwa episode ingine. For now, people, go read your Bible. It has been fun. Mimi nimejibamba. And so until next time, remember to subscribe. Bye. Clive.
Wenyewe wasa wamecome through of late. Siduni Yesu akufe tena. Hiyo Easter watu walicome through design ingine. Thank you for 500 subscribers.
Monday we've made it to 500 subscribers. Anajua msi yako hapo 500 tu ndio wanarenga. Wewe ita watu 500 kwa nyumba yako wapikie ndio ujue watu. We are just grateful. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting. Even if there are comments that are not very nice, we will comment. Thank you for the likes. They really help with the algorithm. And what we are calling out to you even more is share. These stories tunapiga, I haven't had negative feedback from anyone. It is, manze, you guys are doing a great job.
For
more
me,
people need to hear that.
Weird in the sense that somebody says, I didn't know such story exists in the Bible.
In the Bible,
Yes.
and now here na bado wewe na
And we
bado
just started.
tunaenda, we've just started, tunaenda kuzipiga. Yeah, so thank you so much manzi, me I'm just grateful from the bottom of my heart. Yes.
Yeah. So tuendelee hivyo. Kaniba wako ajajua makosa ni yako.
Kosa ni yako.
Yeah. Tell your friends. Wakam wasikie hizi stories. Until next time.
It's been real.
Yeah. Bye.
I was waiting for that. Bye. Clive bana. Bye. Bye.